previous module we have discussed about the planning for your fire, fire prevention, life safety, and in this module we will discuss about the construction planning and scheduling. In this section we will discuss about the different techniques by which we can perform project management. In the project management you might have heard about two common techniques, that is PERT part and CPM. So before that we will first discuss about what are the different features that are required for the planning in a project for project management on the basis of construction. So let us start. So in a project, in a construction project, what are the different requirements that with which we can proceed for a project? That is, one is your resource. The resources are what? The construction materials like cement, aggregates, then your reinforcement, then equipments for plants, insert plants, shuttering stations, and labors. And another is your manpower. So manpower is also a source in the form of engineers, technicians, supervisors, and also laborers, skilled and unskilled both. So a project can only be completed by the presence of these two resources. One is your material resource and the other is your manpower. So to complete any project, in order to complete any project, we have to plan and utilize our resources in such a way that we can complete a project in the given budget and in scheduled time. That is the requirement to perform any planning for the project management. That is about your project, and this whole module is about this planning, how to organize your resources, manpower, and the materials that are provided, and utilize them in step by step without delaying the project in a fixed amount of time and without consuming much of the amount that is allocated for it. So these are the basis of your project. This is the definition of your project, if you can see. So to complete any project, as I have told, we have three constants, three elements you can say. One is that your time. Our planning should be such that the time limit for any construction is completed in the scheduled period. It should not go beyond that. What will happen if my project goes beyond the time? What will happen? Can you guess, or if you can? Cost, right? It will hamper the cost, the budget. So that is why the deadline has to be completed within time. The planning should be done in such a way that, keeping the uncertainties also. Next is to successfully make the plan, to make it economical, we have to use local resources, local manpower, labors, and also local materials as much as possible. Because why? If my materials for the construction is brought from a far place, what will happen?
Transportation cost.
There will be extra cost for transportation. So to limit to cost down the amount, we can have the laborers hired from the localities. And also we can have the material from the nearby positions. Without much delay. And finally is the amount, the budgeting, how much minimum cost we can provide, allocate for a project. So all this comprises of the economy of a project. These are the steps for your project management. You can see, to perform any project, first we have to do the planning. What is the budget that we have to? In the planning, we will have the quantity survey, the budgets that are allocated for that for it. That is to perform. We have to visit the site, do the reconnaissance survey. So these are the preliminary work that is to be done. Once the planning has been chalked out, the budget is finalized, then we can go for the execution. Then we can go for the scheduling. In the scheduling, we will check how much time is should be allocated for a particular activity, okay, major and minor both. So once the scheduling is done, then we can go for the control and monitoring. Okay, once the execution is proceeding, once the execution work proceed along with the scheduled time, then the continuous monitoring along with the how much time it is taking for every work, that is monitored, that is checked, and that is controlled. Okay, the quality is checked, it is controlled. So by this way, execution and monitoring goes along with parallelly. And once it is finished, then we will go for the closure. Okay, then the work can be closed, it can be finalized. Okay, commissioning can be done, and finally the project can be handed over to the client. So this is the common steps that are followed in any project. Also in the applicable for your construction projects, right? So first two phases are to be started before the execution of the work. The schedule has to be finished. Planning, initialization, planning, and budgeting all to be done before the execution starts. Once the execution starts, controlling of the and monitoring are to be done simultaneously. And finally, we will close the project. Okay. Okay, understood? So to check the schedule, how it is proceeding. Okay, to analyze the progress of the project, we can have some techniques by which we can monitor that, or we can do the planning actually. The project management is about the planning of the project that is to be proceeded before the execution work start. So for that, and also ongoing one. So for that, we can have three basic methods. One is your bar chart, using the bar chart. This is the example of your bar chart, which is a plot between your activity and the time schedule. Okay, this bar chart, this one represents what is the time that is consumed by a particular project. Project 1, this activity is consuming this amount of time, suppose 2-3 days. Again, the next project will start in next third day to suppose 5th day. Project 2 will start on the 4th day and it will finish by the 5th day. So like this way, from this we can visualize using bar chart what is the progress of A in a project, the multiple activities that are done. We can visualize this by plotting, by seeing the plot in the form of bar chart. Okay, you might have already seen the bar chart. Okay, bar chart is also called Grant chart because it has been prepared by Grant in the 1900s. Okay. Next is your milestone chart. In milestone chart, we can see the progress of the activity with respect to the time, and also the milestones will show the key points where a activity is ending, when the activity gets end. Okay, so this with the progress of the bar, it also adds the milestones where it will show the key points where the activity will finish and the next activity will begin. So it is actually, milestone charts are the better version of your Gantt charts because they have some limitations. And next is your network diagrams. Network diagrams are also graphical and logical diagrams which shows the activity and events that are occurring and their interdisciplinary connections. Okay, interdependencies on the activities between 2 or 3 activities. Okay, which are actually the limitations of the previous 2 methods. See, the advantage of the graph or the bar chart or the Gantt chart is that we can visualize the progress, how it is happening, what are the resources that are allocated for it, what percentage of resources they are to be allocated, that is allocated. Okay, but the problem with the Gantt chart is that we cannot see if any critical path, if any critical activity is going on or not when it is finishing, or the interdependency between 2 activities we cannot see. Okay, so these are the limitations of the bar chart, and also and when the revised version of your bar chart is your milestone chart. Also, it cannot, in the milestone we cannot see the critical activities that are to be done in a major project work. For a small project work, we can perform this tool. We can use this operation or visual representation. Okay, it can be prepared very easily. Even a non-skilled person can prepare. Okay, but to prepare your network chart, you will require a skilled person. A more person can only we deliver them. Okay, so the interdependencies cannot be seen in the Gantt chart. So for this to overcome these limitations, we can go for the network analysis. So this in this module we will discuss about the network analysis. Okay, so this network analysis is the graphical representation of the activity. Okay, so this represents these nodes. These are the node points which represents the event that is occurring and also the activity. So you can see if we start, we have to perform activity A and B, and once my activity A is finished, then we can perform the activity B and activity C. And activity B, once it is completed, then only we can go for activity D. Okay, so the interdependency of the activities can be seen. Also, the time schedule required for this can be seen. Okay, so like this way, it is more advantageous over your Gantt chart and milestone chart. Okay, understood everybody? Any question? So this network analysis actually it overcomes all the limitations of the Gantt chart and your milestone chart. Okay, so that is why we are using your network diagram. This network diagram can be of two types. Okay, one arrow on the activity diagram where the arrow will represent one activity. Okay, and another one is your activity on the node AOA diagram. AOA and AOA diagram where the activity will be represented on the node. Okay. Here in AOA arrow activity on the arrow diagram, the activity will be seen on the arrows and the events will be represented on the node. This 1, 3, 5, 4, this represents the event. Okay, we will see in the upcoming slides what is event, what is activity. Get to know. So for the completion of this arrow will have description of the activity and the nodes will represent the event. And in the case of activity on the node, these nodes will represent the activity. Okay, these are the nodes A, E, D, C, B, C, E, and G. This represents the activity, and the arrows represents the indications which shows the interlinking of the between any two activities. Okay, A, E, F, these are interlinked, and this A can be done once A is finished. We can proceed with the D as well as like this way we can visualize this network diagram. Okay, understood? It is clear? Okay? So, in this module we will discuss about activity on the arrow diagram, AOA diagram, where the activity is represented on the arrow. So this description of an arrow, if you see, this arrow will represent, there is a tail and there is a head. In the arrow there is a tail and there is a head between two events. So here description of this tail will show me the start, and this B event will show me the end, where the activity terminates. Okay, this is the beginning, this is the end. The description will be given how much time it is consuming. Okay, and this activity, the description of the activity will be given. So this is how the AOA diagram is represented. So in the activity, each operation will consume some resource and it will also consume some time. Okay, without time and resource, the activity cannot proceed. It is the definition of the activity. It is the actual performance of the task that is performed in the site. The examples of your task could be excavation of the ground. Okay, first laying of a plot, excavation, laying of the site, excavation, then casting, okay, shuttering work, then laying of the reinforcement, then casting, with the removal of the shutterings, then curing. So these are all the activities that are done in a sequence. Okay. So this activity requires time and also resource in the form of manpower, material, and facilities. Okay. Examples of you as I have told you, excavation of trench is activity, mixing of concrete is an activity, preparation of specification is also activity, assembling the parts is also activity. Okay. Lathe installation. Okay, installation of the equipment, it will not fall under an activity. Okay. Design completion. Design has been completed. It is not activity. Okay. Design completed. Prepare budget. The budget is prepared. Lathe machine is a tool which is used for cutting of the steel bars. Okay. It is a cutting tool. It is mechanical. In the mechanical lab, you will find the lathe machine. So these are the significance of the activities that you must remember. Okay, it is positive, it is tangible, it has specific and meaningful effort. Okay, these are primarily responsible and it can be determined. That can be determined, and they also consume some time. So there are two types of activity in a diagram that you can see. One is your parallel diagram, and another is your series diagram. This is the example of a parallel diagram where an activity can proceed simultaneously, like fixing of electrical tools and fixing of sanitary. Okay, so this can be done simultaneously. They are called parallel activities, since they can be taken up simultaneously. Next is your series activities. Series activities means once the particular activity is completed, once the P activity is completed, then only we can proceed with the event of completion of the starting of the Q activity. Okay. Unless until you excavate the foundation, how will you lay the concrete? Okay, so that is why it is called series activity. Understood? Next is procedure activity. Procedure activity is some activity which can be performed after some activity has been done. Okay. So it can be performed once a particular job is finished. Okay. And immediate procedure activity means once the activity is finished, then we can go for the next activity. Next is successor activity. In successor activity, once an activity is already finished, then we can proceed with the another activity. Okay. Next is your event. Okay. Event are those which are not tangible, which does not consume any resource. Okay. It marks any completion of any or starting of any activity. So event you can define that it is instant of time or state which has some specific milestone that has been achieved. Okay. So this does not consume any resource in the form of time. Okay. And these are represented here in the form of nodes in the AOA diagram. Right? Understood the difference between event and activity? The shape of the nodes can be not only circular, it can be many different shapes like rectangular, square, oval. Okay, so all these shapes can be utilized to represent any event. And unlike your activity, it does not consume any time and resource. Okay.